In a small village near the thick forests of ancient Ghana, there lived a young man named Kofi. He was known for his hard work, but also for his deep desire to be wealthy. He would spend his days thinking about riches, gold, land, and cattle. His heart was never at peace, always yearning for more than what he had. One day, the village chief gathered all the people in the square for an important announcement. It was a day like any other, but there was something in the air, something unsettling. Whispers spread quickly. The chief's messenger had come back from the mountain with strange news. The chief stood tall on the village platform, his voice calm but serious. "People of Tufuase, I have heard from the mountain gods. They say the winds will bring great changes to this village. But these changes will be different for everyone. What you focus on, what you carry in your heart and mind, will determine what you receive from these changes." At first, no one fully understood what the chief meant. But then he continued, "In 2 days, a great rain will fall, and from that rain, everyone will receive 2 gifts. But remember this: the gifts will reflect what is inside of you, not just what you ask for." The villagers murmured, some excited, others confused. But Kofi's mind raced. He saw this as his chance to finally become wealthy. That night, while the village slept, Kofi stayed awake. His thoughts were consumed with visions of gold, riches, and power. He imagined himself dressed in fine robes, commanding respect, and living in a large house with many servants. Every night, for the next 2 days, Kofi's mind was full of these dreams. The day of the rain arrived. Thick clouds gathered above the village, and soon a heavy rain poured from the sky. The villagers, young and old, ran out into the rain, eager to receive their gifts. Kofi stood at the front of his family's house, his heart pounding with excitement. Suddenly, the rain stopped as quickly as it had begun. As the villagers wiped the rain from their faces, each person noticed 2 small, shining objects in their hands. The gifts had appeared, just as the chief had said. Kofi opened his hands. To his shock, the first gift was not a pile of gold, but a small, cracked mirror. He frowned and looked at the second gift, a single, dull stone. Confusion clouded his mind. Where was the wealth he had dreamed of? He looked around and saw his neighbors. Some were holding fruits, others received tools, and many had beautiful woven cloths. The elders received wise books, and the young children got toys and sweets. But Kofi stood there, staring at his 2 strange gifts. Frustrated, Kofi stormed back into his house. He threw the stone on the ground and stared into the mirror, anger boiling inside him. "Why this? Why me? Where is my wealth?" he muttered. He looked into the cracked mirror, expecting to see disappointment reflected in his face. But what he saw made him freeze. In the mirror, he saw himself not as a poor man, but as a greedy one, his eyes dark with desire, his hands clutching at things that were never his. It was a different version of himself, one that he had never truly seen before. The more he stared, the more he realized something. The mirror was showing him who he truly was, deep inside. His heart had been full of greed, envy, and endless want. And now, the gifts reflected that. Kofi sat in silence, thinking about all the time he had spent chasing riches in his mind. He had neglected the simple joy of life, his family, his friends, and the beauty of the land. Instead, his thoughts had been like that cracked mirror, broken, focused only on material things. Suddenly, a soft knock came at his door. It was Amina, a girl from the village who was known for her kindness and wisdom. She had received 2 beautiful bracelets as her gifts and had come to check on Kofi. "Kofi, Why are you inside? Everyone is celebrating, she said gently, noticing his troubled expression. He sighed and held up the cracked mirror. These are my gifts, Amina. A broken mirror and a worthless stone. I dreamed of gold, but this is what I received. Amina looked at the gifts and smiled softly. Kofi, don't you see? The mirror shows you something far more valuable than gold. It shows you the truth about yourself. And the stone? Well, it may look dull now, but perhaps it holds a deeper meaning. Kofi shook his head. I don't understand. What good is a stone? Amina picked up the stone and studied it closely. Sometimes, what looks simple on the outside can hold great potential. If you work with it, polish it, maybe it can become something precious. Her words made Kofi pause. He realized that all this time he had focused on wanting things, but never on becoming someone better. He had wanted wealth, but never thought about the kind of person he needed to be to truly deserve it. The mirror had shown him that truth. Over the next weeks, Kofi changed. He started focusing on the good in his life, the friendships, the laughter, the simple beauty of each day. He worked hard, not for wealth, but to improve himself and help others. He used the dull stone to sharpen his tools, and little by little, he noticed that the stone itself began to shine. It wasn't gold, but it became smooth and beautiful, just like the changes he saw in his life. Years passed, and Kofi never became the wealthiest man in the village, but he became something far more important. He became wise, kind, and content. He found joy in what he had, not in what he lacked. One evening, as Kofi sat under the stars, he remembered the day of the great rain and smiled. He finally understood what the chief had meant, that what we receive in life reflects who we are inside. And just as Amina had said, sometimes the simplest things can hold the greatest potential, if only we take the time to work with them. From that day forward, Kofi lived in peace, knowing that the true wealth of life is not in gold or riches, but in the heart that beats within us. What we become is what we attract. And the gifts we receive are not always what we want, but exactly what we need.